The Good Samaritan who's being hailed as a hero after saving 2 people in a fire last night.
Fire officials say a father and his daughter were trapped on the roof of their home as it was going up in flames.
Hallowell Fire Lieutenant Logan Bennett says they got the call about the fire on Franklin Street around 9:30 last night. Bennett says when he got there, the 2 had already been helped down off the roof.
Hallowell police say Officer Noah LaBelle was on scene in less than a minute. He says a Good Samaritan assisted in the rescue by grabbing a ladder and helping the man and his daughter down.
Had there not been police and the bystander not put a ladder up, this could have been a lot worse. They're very lucky how everything turned out. We're really appreciative of both the police department and the person who come to help because otherwise it could have been much different.
There were no injuries reported. Hallowell police are on a mission to find that Good Samaritan who helped with last night's rescue so that person can be properly honored.
Anyone with information is asked to contact the department. The fire marshal's office is investigating a call.